Welcome to South Asia in Maps. This is your anchor facilitator, Reddy, and at South Asia, I try to bring the deeper knowledge of history, heritage, culture of South Asia, Bharat, south of Karakoram range, mighty Karakorams, north of Kashmir, and between Karakorams and the Kanyakumari. Excuse me. Today, we'll be talking about Dakhan, Dakshina Pada, South India, about the princely state of Hyderabad and Berar. Very interesting topic, and I will try to introduce a lot of the personalities that played a very prominent role during the partition independence time, those trying times of nearly 13 months or so after partition, August 1947, until the integration of the princely state of Hyderabad and Berar to the dominion of India. There are a lot of concepts here, and I will try to explain them, those terminologies, one by one. Once you understand them, whenever you visit Hyderabad or Deccan, or if you are living in that part of the world, or if you are talking with the people coming from that part, you see what fascinating, enchanting the history, culture it has, and what are those nerve-wracking days and months we talk about during Operation Polo. This is the slide I will briefly tell, and then I will expand them so that you can read those terms and understand them clearly. The title is Asafia Nizamiya. This is an Islamic empire that Muslims built in South India when Alauddin Khilji started waging the Ghazwa on the local rulers of Warangal and Yadava dynasty and Hoysala dynasty and the Tamil kingdoms in Kanchipuram. And they built Bahamanis, later the splinter states Bijapuris and Bidar, Golconda, Berar and Ahmednagar, so on. Finally, Aurangzeb conquered, annexed them, and to his Mughaliya empire died 1707 at Ahmednagar in Deccan, in the Balghat region of Maharashtra's Desh territory, and Nizam was appointed as the governor of that area, become Nizam. So that's called Nizamiya, based upon Nizamul Haq's rule, Nizamul Mulk rule. He was entitled by the Mughal Emperor Badshah Muhammad at Asaf. Asafja means very intelligent person. Asaf was a biblical character hijacked by Islamic theology, and his name was changed to the Yusuf or Asaf. Actually, you have in Bible the Asaf tables, fables and so on. Considered to be a very wise person at that time in that Middle Eastern part of the world, now Judea, Samaria, Israel, Palestine and those territories. Asafia represents their rule. The Nizam's dynasty ruled from 1724 to 1948 till the Operation Polo, the 5 days military action taken by Sardar Patel for integration of princely state of Hyderabad and Berar. So Asafia means the dynasty and kingdom and domain and realm. Nizamiya is also the same. It was an Islamic imperialism, like a foreigner's Turkic and dynasties trying to rule over the native Kafirs, and as an Islamic Shariat rule as a masters of the land. Same as a British imperialism or Portuguese imperialism, Portuguese Catholic imperialism in Goa or Gomantak, British imperialism. It is an Islamic imperialism. And the title is Asafia dynasty or Nizamiya realm that represent Islamic imperialism collapses in Deccan. This is the Deccan region. We have a Sahyadri mountains here, Western Ghats, we have Eastern Ghats. In between, we have Deccan region or Dakshin region, mostly a plateau region representing at the foothills Pune town, Pune city, around about 600 meters mean sea level, and in the center Hyderabad, around about 550 meters mean sea level, with a lot of valleys and so on. Hyderabad, that means the princely state. A simple name, actually official name is Princely State of Hyderabad and Bearer. There is a Bearer in the north, and I have other lot of 2-3 slides made in the central provinces and Bearer, Nizam, so you can look at it in the playlist folder. Hyderabad, Jahanpanah's Islamic missile. We'll see what is that Islamic missile that Jahanpanah ruler he fired. That Jahanpanah's Islamic missile failed to detonate in Deccan at critical time. Critical time is Operation Polo, 1948 September. That Islamic missile, Qassim Razvis, and his Islamic vandals or Razakar vandals are the volunteers. We'll talk about all these things and we'll spin you a beautiful story and integrate the land, integrate the people, and finally show where it is. And before that, so the title is Asafiya Nizamiya Islamic Imperialism Collapses in Deccan. That is the story of today's presentation. And subtitle is Hyderabad Princely State, Jahanpanah's, that is the ruler, Nizam, Mir Usman Ali Khan, 7th Nizam. Jahanpanah's Islamic missile fails to detonate in Deccan, the Deccan realm, at critical phase. Qassim Razvis and his Razakar vandals, the Islamic vandals, failed to rescue the Jahanpanah at the final stage. In Islamic world, they don't have any respect for native culture, terminology, the titles, the beautiful language. All has to come from Arabia, where the religion comes. Jazirat al-Arabia, island of Arabia, Hejaz, Najd, Shammar, Yemen, and so on. Mostly from Hejazis. Jahanpanah means is a Middle Eastern term, the Persian, Turkish, and Arabic, and Kurdish, Pashto, they use it extensively, Dari. Jahanpanah means the protector of the world. Pana, Jahan means the world. Pana means the protector, is a great person. Alam Pana, Alam means also the world, Pana. Both are used synonymously with overlapping things. Jahan Pana, protector of the world, used for addressing the nobility and the dignitaries. Here the Jahanpanah is the official title, or where the Nizam used to be called by his followers. And here we are using that Jahanpanah for Mir Usman Ali Khan, Nizam of princely state of Hyderabad and Bearer, the last Nizam, the 7th Nizam. Razakars, again this is an Arabic word. Razakar simply means a volunteer. There is no derogatory meaning or pejorative meaning associated with it. But the term becomes very popular during the Bangladesh liberation, East Bengal liberation, Purbi Bengal liberation. In the Bengali language, it is ethnic, sir. Lot of Muslims, after their paradise was created in West Pakistan, East Pakistan, from Bihar, Mithilanchal, Bhojpur region, Magad region, migrated there to settle. And there they were not comfortable with the local Bengali Muslims. That's always happens. And during the liberation, they supported Pakistan army. So, Razakar simply means in Arabic a volunteer. So that means these Bihari Muslims volunteered and supported Pakistan army. So Bengali nationalists of East Bengal, who themselves Muslims, use it for derogatory term Razakars. But generally it means volunteers. Here Razakars are the volunteers who organized by Qassim Razvis for enhancing or holding Nizam's domain as an independent state called Usmanistan, similar to Pakistan. Mir Usman Ali Khan Usman, Usmanistan or Ottomanistan. Shaheen, we see the missile, is a symbolic. Our alienated brothers and west of Ravi River or Radcliffe Hour, they make a lot of missiles, Ghaznavi, Ghori and Shaheen. There is nothing native name, all invaders name. Shaheen is Arabic name, just meaning a falcon, a royal, Shah, Shaheen, like that. So here, just representing that missile, just a picture, allegorical. So, coming back the title, I think now, the here like Darul is Harb means they consider the entire land the enemy's territory. This is a basic Islamic theology. Darul Islam, Darul Harb, Ilam means their culture is light, that everything is Jahiliya. So Islam looks the people into Kafirs and Mu'mins, and it looks the history into Jahiliya and Ilam, and it sees and the land into enemy's land and their land. These three divisions are very clear. It enjoins the Ghazwa Jihad, finally converting the enemy's land, Darul Harb into Darul Islam. That's what they tried to do. However, it may be masked. Qassim Razvis was Uttar Pradesh Musalman. He was born in Lucknow, that is in the Awadh region of Uttar Pradesh in the North Indian Indo-Gangetic plains. He came and settled in Hyderabad domain and became studied law on a place called Latur, Lucknow to Latur. Latur is in the southern, somewhere in this part, that is south of, north of Usmanabad and south of Nanded, close to the Bidar. So remember, the Nizam's realm at that time has a Marathi speaking Aurangabad, Janna, Parbani, Nanded, and next to Ahmednagar district it has Bid district, and Latur and Usmanabad, Nilanga, Udgir, those regions. He right there, and at that time there was a political party called MIM, Musalma Majlis-e-Muttahin. That means essentially Muslim group enhancing the Islamic culture, terrorizing the Hindus, and making Hyderabad a purely Islamic territory. That was there. After his death, the leaders came, and Qassim Razvis was also a prominent person. What happened during the final stages of partition plan and excuse me, the accession of the princely state, Mount, according to the laws at that time, there was a states, provinces in the British India, and they all acceded to either dominion of India or dominion of Pakistan. Princely state who are residing within the India, they have no choice, they have to accede it. Border states, they were given some option, not clearly a sort of suggestion. They should accede to either of the domains, and based upon the local people's preferences or the preference of the ruler who ruled that place. Lot of Rajput states in the border like Jaisalmer and Barmer and Jodhpur, all them joined dominion of India. Khairpur, Bahawalpur, ruled by the Musalman Nawabs, joined dominion of Pakistan. And Hyderabad was totally an island within Deccan in South India. And his Exalted Highness declared a few weeks before the British departed that he is not going to joining either the dominion of India or dominion of Pakistan. That is really very interesting and trivial. How can he join dominion of Pakistan? Maybe that's possible in theory, because when East Bengal is 1,000 kilometers away from Karachi and West Bengal can join, maybe the Janab Jahanpana thought he can also join, but he did a favor to Indian dominion of India, that he will not join. That's what the Janab's Alampana supporters mentioned, showing that he is really neutral, and that's a different story, very enjoyable. Anyway, he said he will remain independent, and he has a bit good cordial relations and friendship with British, His Majesty's government in London, but they could not go and help their ally beyond certain stage, because the population 90% nearly was Hindu, and he is a Turkish in origin. He has no relation with the local. All the entire, the ruling elite and bureaucracy, all the Muslims, and most of the Muslims are from North India, who lost their privileged status when the Awadh kingdom of ruled by Muslims was annexed to British East India Empire, East India Company Bahadur by during the time of Lord Dalhousie. So most of them came here as a parasites and survived on the fat salaries given by the Nizam. So it's essentially a sort of white collar arrangement for the Muslim elite in that region. Anyway, that is, so he said he will not decide. So India was too busy with handling the war that broke down and millions of refugees came, and Gandhiji Nehruji was not prepared for anything. So the government couldn't do anything, and all the 500 plus small princely states joined union, and Hyderabad refused to do it. And even the Maharaja of Kashmir, Hari Singh, was vacillating. After 7 weeks or so, he joined because of the Islamic Ghazi warriors from West Punjab and Pakistan invaded his territory, so he has no choice. And Nizam kept hold in order to just address the legal things. The Indian government and Nizam created a thing called standstill agreement. That means, so they will state the situation as a standstill instead of instrument of access, and he signed standstill agreement. And he starts slowly preparing the war material and so on. The lot of people hired to smuggle into him from the Goa territory that was under Portuguese control, and bringing the rockets and all those things. And the Muslim elite under Qassim Razvis and took over almost the administration. There was a few months, there is a person called Nawab of Chhatari. He is from Uttar Pradesh, at that time called United Provinces. He was he was in good terms with the British administration, and he also was a chief minister at that called Premier of United Province. Few months before Pandit Gobind Ballabh Pant took over. That means he was also very good high positions in the government. That means he was very cordial relations with the British governors and viceroys, those things. He was the chief minister or wazir of Nizam. And as this diplomatic and political negotiations started, and Qassim Razvis felt he was not Islamic enough or aggressive enough to make more special demands for the Nizamiya territory. So when his entire delegation was taking a flight from Begumpet airport, there's a local airport in Hyderabad town city, to Delhi, thousands of the Razakars, his group, party members of Muslim League, Majlis party, gathered and prevented that flight. That is called October coup. That means in August there was independence partition, September, October, within a few months negotiations started. That means, so essentially the disgusted Nawab of Chhatari and quit his position, and he went back to he stayed, and in his place the close friend of Qassim Razvis called Mir Laik Ali Khan. He was an entrepreneur and a businessman and the wealthiest person. He was appointed as the Prime Minister of Nizam state. That is in November. I think that coup occurred in November. So he took over as a Prime Minister or Wazir or Chief Minister of Nizam of 47. He was in that position almost like 11 months or so before Operation Polo. Meanwhile, the Nizam's demands were he wanted to become an independence. Maximum His Majesty Jahanpana was interested to concede was the government of India can conduct the external relations on his behalf, and he will also be an independent ruler, and he will vote in the United Nations as in accordance with whatever India was. That is the concession he was going to give, and that was not acceptable for the Indian government. It will be like a island like within the Indian domain, and a lot of Hindus were very much concerned, but daily attacks by Razakars and so on. At the time, Qassim Razvis met Sardar Patel in Delhi. This is what he said to Sardar Patel, and he has a heated debate and discussion with Vallabhbhai Patel. And finally, before he left, he said one thing to Patel. Patel was not commenting and acting, he was just listening. Death by the sword is always preferable to execution by mere stroke of the pen. That means he wrote to protect the last bastion of Islamic Khilafat in Deccan. He's an Islamic Khalifa. Nizam, he said to Nehru, point blank, to Patel, just we will not by stroke of the pen, by signing the instrument of accession, you cannot just to take away the Khilafat or Usmanistan in Deccan, that is Darul Islam. And he just walked away. And Nehru and Patel asked and other leaders to characterize him like he's a monster holding the Hyderabad as a hostage, a Frankenstein. That means the character does the more harm than the good to you. So the events continued, and they start collecting lot of army, and at one time these are the Razakars, volunteers. He gathered around about 200k, 2 lakh volunteers to fight it, and that was very, very, very big abnormal number at that time, all Muslims. And essentially the Raja Qassim Razvis wanted to wage al-Tawheed wal-Jihad fi Deccan. That means Tawheed means Islamic concept of monotheism. That means only people should worship only Allah, nothing else. Al-Tawheed wal-Jihad means the holy war, Islamic gangsterism, masquerading as holy. They just attach the word holy to impress the people. Al-Tawheed wal-Jihad fi Deccan, for the Deccan. That means battle for monotheism in Deccan. That means he is essentially establishing an independent Islamic state in Deccan. Remember that Nizam was a vassal of Mughal Badshah. He was not independent. He was de facto independent. By de jure, he was under Mughal control. In 1798, he signed a treaty of agreement accepting the paramountcy with Richard Wellesley. So he became a subsidiary of his East India Company. When East India Company became the controlled by the Queen in England, so he was a subsidiary of that. He was never independent at all. When the two dominions were formed in partition, Nizam claimed all of a sudden his treaties were with the East India Company and later with the British Crown. So as they left India, all the treaties are null and void, and he is resuming his independence. And he was never independent, that's a different story. But declaring independence is not as easy. He has to contest it and establish. That's what they were trying to do. And as more and more writing and stopping the trains coming in and out of India, Indian dominion territory into Hyderabad occurred, and finally, for Sardar Patel, there was immense amount of the pressure on the dominion of India, because India already lost West Punjab, Sindh, Balochistan. Millions of people, Sikhs and Hindus, were uprooted, their lands were taken away, thousands were butchered, and they're all sent away. So at that time, government of India at least needed a symbolic victory to show to the Hindus that they are really in control of the territory and they're responsible for the majority culture and civilization. Already there was a stalemate in Kashmir. Even though military victory was achieved by Indian army, but Nehru's poor judgment and policy left much of the territory in Pakistan's control. Part of Muzaffarabad district and Poonch district and Rajouri district, Mirpur district and everything. Almost the border solidified from the Jhelum river, almost 30, 40, 50, 100 kilometers east at Uri and those areas. So government of India, dominion of India, was also looking for certain symbolic victory. So finally Patel decided, and after Lord Mountbatten left, he was the Governor General and Viceroy, representative of King the British Crown. I think he started in 47, I think February, and by June he quit the office, and Rajgopalachari became the Governor General. So now there is nobody to support Nizam there, and Nizam gave a lot of money to Pakistan, and that was also a cause. And he also took his case to the United Nations, telling that he is an independent country and India is trying to annex his dominion. Finally, Patel sent army, police action. It's not a war. The dominion of India never characterized it as a war. Wars are bound between the sovereign states. Because if the territory is within your control, a sort of subordinate like your province or a union territory, you will not say it's a war. It's an internal social unrest is there, and the take you send militia or force, and you take a sort of police action. That was what Sardar Patel, the internal minister for Home Minister, said. And Operation Polo started on 13th of September and continued for 4 or 5 days. And the entire Nizam's army was headed by a Muslim called Al-Idris. He is from Arabia, he is an Arab. Army was Pashtun, army was Arab, and army was Turkish. These are all mercenaries. They all came from the land outside this country. All employment was given to only Muslims coming from outside. Even local Muslims were not preferred. They were preferred only local higher, local small positions. All the top positions are for the Muslims of claiming the foreign descent or coming from Uttar Pradesh and so on. So Al-Idris army couldn't do much within 4 days, and it collapsed, and Laik Ali government resigned, and Nizam called the representative of Indian government at Bolaram, Secunderabad, K.M. Munshi, and said he is surrounding and signing the document, instrument of accession. That the same document 500 plus princely state rulers signed. He signed in September 1948. So here the point and the entire story we are talking about, Asafiya realm, Nizamiya realm, that is the princely state of Hyderabad and Berar, at that time ruled by Nizams of Central Asian Turkish origin or Turani origin. The 7th Nizam, Mir Usman Ali Khan, represented the Islamic domination of Hindu homeland in Deccan in Hyderabad Principality. Asafiya Nizamiya Islamic imperialism collapsed in Deccan finally in 1948. The Hyderabad Jahanpana, the holder of the protector of the world, Jahanpana's Islamic missile, he fired an Islamic missile, something like Ghaznavi missile, Ghor missile, Shaheen missile, or Babri missile that Pakistan makes them and names them based upon all the Central Asian invaders. Jahanpana's Islamic missile fails to detonate at very critical phase in Deccan. Critical phase is Operation Polo. Brief 5-day police action by the Dominion of India on the erring state of Hyderabad. That missile, Qassim Razvis, failed to detonate, on whose abilities Nizam was confident that his Khilafat in Deccan, Usmanistan, will be held firm, and they can have this Tawheed al-Ghazwi of Deccan can be conquered. The Deccan, his dominions in Deccan will be firmly established and made an Islamic territory, finally collapsed. His Qassim Razvis missile and his Razakar Vandals or Islamic Vandals couldn't help much the Nizam. Finally, Jahanpana, that is the protector of realm, agreed to accede the state dominion of India. So that is the principal story. The principal characters here is Qassim Razvis, the Muslim Islamic zealot originally from United Provinces in the Awadh region of Lucknow, who settled in the Latur in the Marathwada region of Maharashtra, a lawyer, and who was the successor, a prominent leader of Majlis party, and who raised volunteers called Razakars. Razakars are the Islamic volunteers whose the volunteer work is to protect the realm of Asafiya Nizamiya in Deccan, the Khilafat. And this is the other beautiful picture of Qassim Razvis. I looked at one of the video posted by his granddaughter. It was a very beautiful video, and I really liked it. And he studied at Aligarh Muslim University. That's the intellectual place. All the Muslim League, Islamic secessionists came from there. So it's no wonder he's also alma mater is Aligarh Muslim University from Lucknow to Latur. Here we see Nawab of Chattari, who was a Muslim Islamic aristocratic family member. We can say a sort of moderate when compared to Qassim Razvis, whom the Razakars and Qassim Razvis and Majlis didn't like him because he was not playing the role that they expected. So they finally got him deposed and sent out of the state, and they got their chief minister, Prime Minister Mir Layak Ali, and finally so we also looked at Razakars and important concepts like Jahanpana, Razakars and Shaheen Missile allegory, and what is Darul Harb, Darul Islam, the basic Islamic concepts of dividing the world and establishing the Islamic domination on the planet Earth. So finally, the Asafiya Nizamiya's Islamic imperialism collapsed in Deccan. At critical phase in the Hyderabadi history, Jahanpana's Islamic missile of Qassim Razvis failed to detonate in Deccan during the Operation Polo. That's about Qassim Razvis and his voluntary force called Razakars, which are essentially Islamic militants or Islamic vandals. And here you can see a beautiful the face what actually now in the Andhra Pradesh after bifurcation we have a state called Telangana, that is essentially Telugu speaking districts. Remember the Nizam's territory has Telugu speaking districts and Marathi speaking districts, Aurangabad, Jana you can see, and Parbani and Nanded is the Latur, you can see Latur, this is the Balghat plain, the Ahmednagar, and we have a Beed and Latur and Udgir, and there is a river Mandra that goes to near this and joins Godavari river. You can see here beautiful Godavari river, Godavari valley, and the dam here near Python, the Godavari valley and Nanded goes here. Mandra joins there and Latur region, and so Nizam's territory also include the Canary speaking districts of Bidar and Kulbaragi or Gulbarga and Raichur Doab. So these are all Nizam's territories, or Asafiya's territories, or Asafiya Nizam territories. That is Darul Islam in Deccan or Usmanistan they used to call it, whom the Jahanpana used to rule, and finally made attempt to establish the independent kingdom, independent Islamic Khilafat in Deccan, which finally failed. And his dependence on Qassim Razvis, his missile couldn't succeed that much. It failed to detonate. That's what we are trying to see today. So that is in brief about the story. You have now a entire picture of the nerve-wracking events of those 13 months in southern region of Bharat, that is Asafiya territory, Nizamiya territory, or the princely state of Hyderabad and Berar, and His Exalted Highness Jahanpana or Alampana Mir Usman Ali Khan, his ideologues and supporters, and Liak Ali Khan, Chief Minister, and especially Qassim Razvis and his Razakar band of Islamic zealots. Thank you very much, and hope this will put you in the proper perspective. And this is Reddy and South Asia in maps, and we'll continue our fascinating explorations of other parts of South Asia soon. And please send your suggestions, comments, or any compliments, and for enhancing this educational channel.